And good evening and welcome. It's another Monday night at Fly Boys here in Beaver Creek. The Katrina Merriweather Show. We'll be talking Wright State University women's basketball for the next 30 minutes. If you're coming home from work, you're in the area, the ball at Fairfield Commons, you can't miss it. You see the Starbucks out front in front of North Fairfield Road. Drop on by. Some great food here at Fly Boys Deli. Stop on your way home, pick something up, take it back, and join us here. We'll be here between now and 7 o'clock tonight talking about Wright State basketball. Between 6 and 7, of course, we have the Scott Nagy Show. Now, you can't miss it, Coach. When you come in here through that exit out there, you see that giant biplane out front with a propeller going around it. You can't miss it. A lot of restaurants out here, but we want to see you here at Fly Boys Deli. And you know that plane, it was actually developed by Steve, the owner here. He came up with that and put that up there. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
That's his plane, baby. That's his plane.
That's awesome.
Well, speaking of putting things together, your basketball team now is 5-0 in the league, 13-4 overall. And we were talking before going into this game, first in the Horizon League. You didn't play very well at Northern Kentucky, but, you know, through the years I've seen teams that they don't play well, but they win games, especially on the road. I guess it's a good sign. You'd like to see them do much better, but they still came away with a win.
You know, I think that it's been a kind of an uphill battle since Green Bay. And I don't think it's intentional. You know, I don't think anybody comes to practice or comes to games and tries to miss shots or anything like that. But we're really working on making sure that we continue to get better. As you watch the league, everyone's doing that. You know, so we've got newcomers, we've got freshmen. We're trying to get them to understand that if we don't continue to progress throughout the year, then we won't have the same result when we play these people a second time.
Well, everybody's taken on a different role. The team didn't shoot very well, but then again, your defense held Northern Kentucky to shooting under 30%, you know, also especially from three, but the team wins 61-57. But Mikhail Miller is somebody who you thought would be able to score. She had 22 points in that game to lead the Raiders.
Yeah, she's just really good offensively, and she actually has some pretty good defensive plays for us too. But yeah, we knew that she could make a three. We knew she had a nice mid-range jump shot. We knew she could get to the rims, and more importantly, gave us another ball handler. So she's been a great addition for us.
Well, we got some highlights from the game on Saturday. Okay. Now, for those listening on the radio, we will describe them for you. But the folks here and also watching on the stream through the Raiders Athletic website, you can see those, and those here, let's go to them right now, right, Greg? Okay, here you are playing at Northern Kentucky. Hit a bucket right there, and there she is, right on cue.
Yep. Here we go, pushing in transition. Emily's been a little spotty offensively, but that's a great pull-up jumper. We got all the confidence in the world in her, and I'm sure that she'll start shooting a higher percentage here soon.
Talk about Emily Vogelpohl. Now, I'm sure she had some people in the stands
yes,
against Northern Kentucky. And she's from Cincinnati.
She had a bunch of people. She had a bunch. There's Mikhail Miller throwing the ball off the back of the inbounder and getting the and-one for us. We were struggling there for a second, so that play got us going a little bit.
You know, coming into this game, you told us last week at the show, you said, you know, Northern Kentucky is a team that really goes at you for 40 minutes, and they did the same thing in this one.
Yeah, they did. And so they're out there guarding back at the three-point line. She just drove it by them and laid it in there. And here we are in transition, kicking it out to Mac for an open three in the corner. We got to make sure we do a good job of getting her the ball when she's open.
You have players who can create shots, like right there.
Yes, and Mikhail makes a lot of really tough shots. I know sometimes I listen to commentators sometimes, they're like, man, coach, I look over at the coach, I can't tell if that's a good shot or not. Every shot she shoots is a good shot because she just makes really tough ones, and it puts a lot of pressure defensively on the other team, and we just, again, have a lot of confidence in her to make plays.
Well, the team is 5-0 right now, a game up on Green Bay, team you beat earlier this year. Youngstown State off to a great start. That's your next opponent coming up on Friday night up in Northeast Ohio. You take them one at a time. You don't want to look ahead because I think you want to wait till the first 9 games, the first half of the league schedule is through before you kind of get an idea on which teams will progress well and which teams won't. So it's still extremely early, but you have to be happy with a 5-0 start.
Oh, there's no question. Because, again, like I said, we didn't play all that great at Milwaukee, didn't play all that great at Northern Kentucky. But to tough out those wins still, like you said, when we don't shoot the ball well and to get key rebounds, to get key stops defensively. I think every coach just wants to put 40 minutes together where you play well, but sometimes some things stick out more than others.
There are certain times during games, you know, some key possessions, you know, you might be down by 3, you might be up by 3, you know, the flow of the game doesn't seem to be going your way, but that's when, you know, you look to your leaders. What are some of those times you've seen during this year? You played some close games where people have picked up when they really needed to during a game.
I think that always falls on our seniors. I think that Simone Simmons makes huge plays. You know, she got a big block at the end of IUPUI that sent us into overtime. You have Mackenzie Taylor, who's constantly huddling them together, making sure that everybody's communicating. And then Emily Vogelpool just plays with so much passion and energy every second that she's out there on the floor. Because I'm sure a lot of people maybe even question, I mean, you play her all the time, even when she's not shooting well. Well, I don't know how not to have her on the floor, because she always comes up with the key play. Again, she did the same thing in IUPUI. She misses 2 free throws, and then she gets a steal and a layup, and we win the game. So I think our seniors just do a tremendous job making sure that we stay focused and on the right track.
Again, we've talked about this season. The team starting slow out of the gate, but you put a great streak together at this point. What's the mindset, of this group? I mean, that's where you go to the senior leadership. Is it like a one at a time for them? I know they enjoy the win, but once that's over, you got to get ready for your next opponent.
We do, and I think that's something that for the last 2 years, is being year 3, that we've really focused on. It's just one game at a time. We had looked up 2 years ago, and we had won however many in a row, and we finished 16-2, and at no point did we talk about winning a championship or anything like that. We just always talked about the next game. So I think that that's something that they continue to do. And then with having newcomers like Imani Partlow and Mikhail Miller and Angel Baker, I think it really helps those 3 when you have the 3 senior leadership, the leadership from those 3 that we do.
Yeah, you say some new parts, coming this year, onto this team, which has had success, for the last 5, 6, 7 years right now on the women's side in the Horizon League, coming together like they did. And again, for people who didn't join us earlier on in the season, you played a couple of neutral sites, some away from some so-called tournaments or whatever. That had a lot to do with this team being able to come together early.
It did, and again, that's always such a credit to our administration in allowing us to take those trips, because we were in Nashville for 5 days. We were in California even for 5 days. We were in New York for 4. Having an opportunity to not just play basketball, but to go out and go to the 9/11 Memorial, to go to downtown Nashville and have some dinner, for them to hang out and get to be around each other and build that chemistry. That's something that also needs to happen outside of basketball in the court. So we were fortunate to be able to do that.
Through the first 17 games of this season, what are some of the strengths of this team, and what are some of the things you continue to need to work on?
I tell you, it's just, for me, it's just consistency, because we've shown flashes of being able to do everything really, really good. Again, we're ranked nationally in rebounding, after I told them it was the worst rebounding team I had ever coached in my life. And I think that we're capable of that. But then we go into Northern Kentucky, and we're only +2 on the boards. So I would like us to consistently, regardless of who we play, be +10 on the boards, no matter who the opponent is. I would like to see us shoot more free throws. We're such a, again, creative and offensively talented team that we don't always attack aggressively and get to the rim as much as I like. Sometimes we settle for threes and jump shots, and it's kind of hard because we make them too most of the time.
Yeah.
But I would like to shoot more free throws. You got Imani Partlow, who is leading the league in field goal percentage. We need to get her some more shots. So we've got some stuff that I really like to work on offensively, where we kind of get into the post a little more. But we've always been kind of a guard-oriented.
Now, see, that gets back to the game at Northern Kentucky. When you talk about rebounding, that's something that you can always do, and you're missing a lot of shots in that game, so you want to get offensive and defensive rebounds in that game to give yourself more opportunities.
Well, and I think that people know it too, so like we can, as soon as we shoot, we hear the other coach yelling, face them, face them. So people aren't even turning to go rebound. They're just getting Simone Simmons and facing her, holding her out so that she can't get in there. And again, that means someone else has to step up then. That means it opens it up for Emily or for Mikhail to go in there and sneak some in if Simone's being held out. So we just got to pick up where people are going to focus and do a better job at it.
How do you get that point across to players who are able to create their shot when you talk about trying to get to the free throw line? Because, that is an art. Sometimes your shot's not falling, but even if it is falling, you still need to have more to your game.
Absolutely. I'm nearly positive that Mackenzie is our leading free throw shooter, not just percentage-wise, but in attempts. And that's fine. It's great for her. But she's 5'6", and she's our three-point shooter. So it speaks to her being aggressive, but it also speaks to our other players not being as aggressive as they can be either, getting to the basket. So, and again, offensive rebounds and putbacks. There's a lot of different ways to get to the free throw line. It's just something I think we really need to get better at.
Are there plays that you and your staff could design for individuals to get to the line more dribble drive, get inside?
Yes, but we usually, no matter how we say go lay it in, it usually turns into a pull-up jump shot. And again, that is the lowest percentage shot in the game. Most people have that opinion, and I agree with it, but I do think we have a really good jump shooting team, so it may not be as low of a percentage shot as some people assume it is, but nonetheless, it's a lower percentage shot than a layup, that's for sure.
And the thing is, it's got to be difficult. I'm sure you talk about it with your staff about trying to explain that to your student athletes, players out there on the floor, if they're making those threes, and you see a lot of it in college basketball, both on the men's and women's side right now. How do you get them to start thinking that way?
Well,
do you?
Well, it's tough because it's how people defend us too. Like if you watch how people play us, nobody's pressuring us, nobody's all over the ball because then we'll drive it by them. So they kind of play about 5 feet off and stick their arm out and make you feel like they're guarding you, but they're really not. And so I think it turns into a little bit of a skill and ego thing where it's like, oh, you're not going to guard me out here like I can't shoot. Let me prove you wrong. And sometimes we do, and then other times it is we need to get some offensive rebounds because we're shooting 30%. So again, I have a lot of confidence in them and they're confident in themselves, but nonetheless, if we could get some counter moves and get to the basket, I'd be happier.
All right, it's 18 minutes before 6 o'clock. Time for our first break. This is the Katrina Merriweather Show. We're talking Wright State women's basketball.
Hi, I'm Bob Grody, class of 1976 and former Raiders player and coach. Did you know that once you're a Wright State grad, you're automatically a member of the Alumni Association? As a member, tap into the Wright State Network, attend a local alumni event, and earn discounts and special offers. Log on to wrightstatealumni.com and make the most of your membership. Thank you, and go Raiders.
And welcome back to Fly Boys here in Beaver Creek. This is another edition of the Katrina Merriweather Show. Wright State women's basketball on top of the Horizon League through their first 5 games, 13-4 overall. But coming up, Coach, you got a date with the Penguins of Youngstown State University, team that got off to a great start. Kind of hit a couple of bumps here lately, but still they're tough, and they're tough at home at the Beagley Center.
No, they're really good, and it's always a tough game up there. Our styles are very contradicting. Where again they play that gap defense, where they're kind of in the pack line, where they don't go any further than a 3-point line with their toes. So like they are not going to come out and guard us at the 3-point line. So we have to make sure that we don't settle for those shots. But they just pack it in and try to keep you out the lane, which makes it tough. We clearly run the dribble drive offense, and the whole purpose is to get a little closer with every reversal to the basket, and it's their goal not to let that happen.
Well, how do you attack something like that? Do you try to early in the game, like you say, penetrate with a dribble drive, maybe get the ball inside, force things inside early to try to get better looks?
Well, what we do is what we do normally, and we kind of get a feel for how they're going to guard it. A lot of people switch it up top, and if you don't run dribble drive really hard and really fast and really aggressive, then the defense doesn't have to shift much. So if we're not running it correctly, then you don't get anything out of it. Then I sometimes have to sub and move around lineups to try to figure out who's going to play at the pace we need to. And if not, we just really run set plays. And we've got a couple of other options, some ISO stuff. And again, Angel Baker's really good in that stuff. We run stuff to Emily. We've got some options if we don't feel like we're getting what we want out of it.
Yeah, you don't want to overthink things. You want to do what you do well. And like you say, it's contradictory to what they're going to show you defensively. I would imagine if the 3-point shots are there, going to take them.
Yeah, and we will. But we just emphasize, again, in order for shots to go, you have to make good passes, so we work on our efficiency in terms of that. You can't throw the ball all over the place, and the shooters got to come out of their pocket and can't get their feet set and all that good stuff. So we work on those things too. We had a really good practice today, working on some stuff that we needed to get better at. They drove it by us a couple of times, and we weren't on the help line. That's a huge part of our defense, and sometimes those are just defensive breakdowns, mental lapses that we have that we need to continue to get better at.
With winning, and this might be an easy answer to this question, with winning, do you find it a little easier in practice practice, everybody kind of gets on each other on things that they need to do to continue to get better? Or is it something the coaches have to do?
No, absolutely. I'm very confident that our seniors are communicating to the rest of the team that we have to play better. Like it's not just good enough to win, it's how we win. And it was the same way when we lost a couple. It wasn't that I was so angry that we lost. It was how we were losing. It was because we weren't defending, we weren't rebounding. And that's always been something that we've taken pride in, that we've made sure that we've done. So now here we are, and we're having some defensive breakdowns. And I'm playing a lot of people. And we have a group that we've got a little bit of an identity with. I call them Chaos. And that 5 goes in and they press. And then they just run around really fast offensively. They're hard to keep up with, and they get offensive rebounds, and it's a different look than our first 5. And I think that that's doing wonders for our team and keeping everyone invested in what we're doing. Everyone, not just me saying, with them knowing that they're important and that every single person matters. And we just got to keep pushing forward.
Not only what happens on the floor in practice or the games, but we don't talk a lot about the video sessions. Tell a lot of the fans right now exactly how you go about getting the video and getting that and expressing it over to your players and how it's going to help them.
Well, right after the games, the game is transferred to our laptops. Kim Demings is just awesome. She does so many things, and also our assistant coaches make sure that happens too. So basically, we get on there, and I always watch the game immediately afterwards. It's so interesting. I found out that what you think happened during the game, after you watch it, sometimes it's not very accurate. So before I make a lot of statements, I can hardly talk right after the game until we watch the film. So film is so valuable because you look out there and I see Deja Evans flying and somebody makes a 3. Well, I'm yelling at her. She's the closest person to him. Till you realize she was the person who was on the helpline, and she really made a great hustle play, even getting out there to contest the 3. So I've learned to be quiet so that I don't sound foolish until after I got a chance to watch it. So after it gets transferred there, it goes to something called Synergy, and our entire conference uses it. And it's a really neat system where they break down every single possession, and they actually do your stats and everything for it's taken a lot of work out of it for assistant coaches, actually. So I'm sure they're happy about it. But it'll tell you if you're good, average, very good, or excellent at post-ups defensively and offensively. So it breaks down literally every single possession. So what we do is we take that after they break it down, and we're able to put the clips that we want to put together and show the girls. So like today we watched rebounding, so we clipped all the offensive rebounds that we gave up. We watched some defensive breakdowns that I referred to earlier, so they could see all of those and we could go slowly through them, talk about it. Everyone can see what responsibility they had in the possession. And then lastly, offensive execution. Some things where we didn't wait for screens, where our timing was bad, where we didn't have 3 people rebounding offensively. So it's the best tool that you have, because they don't believe what you say, because of course they went to rebound.
Right.
Yeah, but they didn't. And so you have to show it to them on film, and then there's really no argument at that
And like
point.
you say, this is a great tool to have. A lot with the analytics now and in any sport, and it's all very helpful. If you're not with that, you're going to be behind everybody else if you don't go ahead and jump on board. But what's the reaction of the players when you're showing them these specific things on video? Are they giving you reaction before you ask them for it?
Well, I think that I don't talk a lot during those film sessions. They do. Like I say, tell me what you see, because I think it's important for them to be able to watch it and say, oh, I didn't give any ball pressure, because it's bigger than, oh, the post player caught the ball and they made a move and they laid it in. Well, they only have 3 seconds in that lane. So if we have better ball pressure, because sometimes for us, because we've always been so small, we have a 5'8" player. Our best post defense is on the perimeter. If you can get the passer to feel a little bit of heat and they can't make an accurate pass, well, that saves our post defender. So it's a big deal, and so they have to take responsibility for that, and they can see it too. So that's one of the first things they always say: oh, I could have been on the helpline, or oh, I could have given more ball pressure.
17 games into the season, you've seen a lot of games on video and whatever. You see a lot of tendencies right now and things getting a little little bit better from early on in the season? You're seeing it as far as a record is concerned, but are you seeing the progress you want to see at this point?
There's so much progress. I think, again, when you have the pieces where Mikael Miller and Imani Partlow and Angel Baker are so talented, and they come in and they know that they're really good, but they're still trying to figure out where they fit in with Mackenzie and with Emily and with Simone. And then you still have the kids that have been here for 1 or 2 years in Deja Evans and Jaleese Beck. And where does all of that mesh together? And I think it's just been really, really great to watch them kind of embrace each other's strengths and to cheer for each other. Once we got to the point where I talked about before, it's not about them competing with each other for playing time anymore. It is about winning the spot. And so once we tell them what spots you're supposed to win, at the end of the game, you need to look at that stat sheet and did your spot beat Northern Kentucky's spot? And where did you fall short, and where can we be better, and how are we supposed to get after it the next day in practice?
Well, it seems to be working for you right now. The team is at 5-0, and you got Youngstown State coming up. It's about 7 minutes now before 6 o'clock. Still got a few minutes as we continue from Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. This is the Katrina Merriweather Show. It's all about Wright State University women's basketball.
What does it mean to be a pioneer, reaching your full potential? It means being bold. No, bigger than bold, monumental. Where would we be if we ceased at the first "you can't do that"? How would we advance if we stopped in our tracks every time we heard "hey you, move back"? We develop thick skin when opposition wishes we'd stay soft. Against resistance, our persistence will pay off. At Wright State, our goal remains central. We are the pioneers of potential.
Along with the head coach of the Wright State University women's basketball team, currently in first place on the Horizon League at 5-0, 13-4 overall. Katrina Merriweather with us for a couple more minutes. And, Coach, before we went on the air tonight here at Fly Boys Deli in Beaver Creek, we talked about, a lot of players, college basketball players, play professionally. Not all go to the WNBA. Men's players don't all go to the NBA, but also overseas. And Wright State has seen quite a few players on both sides right now being able to take advantage of that. And currently, from information I received from Bob Naw, Sports Information Director, and the Associate Athletic Director here at Wright State today, showing 3 former women's players at Wright State playing professionally overseas.
Yeah, and that's always really exciting. It's great for them. It's great for the program. It's great in recruiting because a lot of kids say, hey, well, I have an opportunity to play professionally. And, of course, the response to that is, well, yeah, you just have to be good enough. It doesn't matter where you play as long as you, again, I will argue that as long as you win, people want the best player, the best top 2 players off that team. So who we have playing is Taylor Mingo, and she's sitting out right this second because she just had surgery, but she should be working her way back. But she's had a great few years over there where they've won a lot. She's playing more of a point guard, non-scoring position at the moment, but she's still facilitating everything and being same old awesome Mingo. Lexi Smith had an opportunity to play, but unfortunately she tore her Achilles a few weeks ago. So she's having surgery. Has actually had surgery that I think that happened last week. So she's Lexi, though. She's everything short of a horse. So it won't take long for her to come back, I'm sure. And then Chelsea is doing phenomenal over there. She's just Chelsea, whether she's here or in another country. So I think she had 29 in the last game they played. And I'm sure she wishes they were winning a bit more because she cares about that more than she does her individual stuff. But it's nice. We're happy for them.
Yeah, Chelsea Welch, of course, a local player from Fairmont High School, here in the Dayton area, Kettering to be more precise. But do you give any advice to players who move on, who are able to go overseas? Because it's a lot different. The game is a little bit different, and, of course, the cultures and things like that they have to deal with.
Well, you would just have to know me a little bit. I say go play so that you can have some great memories. It is about playing basketball, but let's be honest, it's a vehicle for most women. We're not making millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. These kids are making a few $1,000s a month, but the experience is priceless for you to go to another country and have an opportunity to play in front of some different fans and learn a different language, experience a different culture. And I think that that's the main reason why they should go. Now, I don't give any advice because I didn't play. As soon as we played our last game, I pretty much knew I wanted to coach, and that was it for me. But we do have other people on our staff that did. They should probably get more advice from them.
You have some teammates or some people that you knew coming up through the ranks that have played overseas and the experience they had?
Yeah, and I think that it's great. Like, they all love it. My teammate is still playing in France. I mean, she's 36 years old, and she just loves it over there. She goes back. She played in the WNBA for 6 years, and so some people just enjoy the life and just embrace it. And I look at her on Facebook, and she's speaking and putting her posts up in French and is so engulfed in the culture, and I think it's great. So I think that it's a terrific opportunity for anybody who wants to continue to play.
Well, Coach Merriweather, a lot of people are excited about your team right now. Got to get out and see you guys reach on to the Horizon League Championship. A long way to go right now for that regular season.
Very
during the
long.
schedule. Off to a 5-0 start. It's good, 13-4 overall, and you got Youngstown State coming up for Friday. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay with us right here at Flyboys Deli in Beaver Creek. Coming up next between 6 o'clock and 7, we've got the men's show. We'll be talking with head coach Scott Nagy, and also 2 players joining us, senior Mark Hughes, as well as the sophomore Loudon Love. Again, that's coming up next. Stay with us. This is Wright State University basketball.